Hey guys, this is Milton_fanfiction and this is What If Naruto Could See Ghost Minato Part 1. Before we start, please do consider subscribing to this channel and turn that bell notification for new uploads. Give this video a thumbs up and comment down below for any suggestions. Also thanks guys for 19 subscribers, I really do appreciate it. Anyways, let's begin. Ghost Guardian. Awakening. Kyubi laughed maniacally as he felt another human die beneath his paw. He could feel, smell, see, and hear death all around him as he rampaged. Thrashing his 9 mighty tails, and wreaking the havoc he craved so much. His tails changed the landscape from a lively forest to a barren wasteland, where only blood seemed to decorate the battlefield. Mangled, twisted, and trampled bodies were spread about the background, drowned in pools of blood. He laughed as he felt small metal objects embed themselves within his red fur, only for the weapons to fall out harmlessly to the ground. His body regenerated in seconds, leaving no trace of the previous cuts. A sinister grin spread across his face, as he swiped his tail at the line of humans who had thrown the metal weapons at him. They died as they were flung across the field, landing in crippled piles of flesh. It was then that he noticed a giant toad enter the field. The humans around him cheered as they saw the towering amphibian. The fox growled fiercely at the newcomer, daring the being to attack him. Kyubi then realized it wasn't the toad the humans were cheering for, but rather the human perched atop its head. How dare they mock him by thinking that a single human could stop him? He, the Kyubi, was the greatest of the Biju, a testimony of his greater power. They think a simple bag of flesh could even pose a threat to one such as himself. He laughed at the idea, as he charged forward at the last chance of hope the village had left. The Yondaime watched the great demon charge blindly into his downfall. The Hokage reflected upon his life, knowing the end was all too near. He watched his life play before him in a mere second, as the Kyubi dashed towards him. His hands flashing through well-rehearsed hand seals, as his thoughts drifted back to the battle before him. His child lay at his feet screaming from the lack of attention and care. The newborn's scream mixed with the screams of those that lay in pain, from wounds or loss of loved ones. His mind was clear as finished the last hand seal and shouted, "Shiki Fujin." Dead demon consuming seal. The Kyubi stopped in his tracks. What is this? Minato knew the Shinigami was behind him. Only he, the user of the technique, could see the death god. Minato felt the Shinigami's cold hands grip his soul, as he watched the death god begin ripping out the Kyubi's soul. Kyubi's howls in agony could be heard by all. The pain-filled sounds made everyone stop whatever they were doing, and watch the Kyubi's gigantic form collide with the hard earth. Lifeless. The Kyubi's form began dissolving into a swirling mass of energy, that the Shinigami now held in his hand. The god of death placed the energy into the newborn at Minato's feet. The menacing red chakra seeped cleanly into the seal, until it disappeared entirely. The Shinigami then faced the Hokage expectantly. "My deed is done. Now it is time to pay with your soul." Minato nodded, and grinned. "I know." The Shinigami looked slightly confused as to why this human, at such a young age, accepted death with open arms. "Why is it that you accept death so willingly?" Minato looked slightly startled by the unexpected question, but replied nonetheless. "I saved my village. Giving my single life, to save many. If one life can save the pain of hundreds, I see no reason to regret." The Shinigami then looked at the child. "What about your son?" The Yondaime looked at the small child, knowing he wouldn't be there to watch him grow. He wanted to be with his son, but he knew such a thing was not possible. "He is my son. He will prevail with whatever tasks he is given," Minato said sternly, believing every word that he had said with utmost confidence. The Shinigami knew the fate of the child, one such as he knew every being's fate. The man he faced was unlike any other human he had come across. To give up so much to protect others, and believe them to be such kind-hearted souls was naive. He knew that the child would not be seen as a hero like the man had acts. The Shinigami then went into thought. What if he meddled with fate's written path? The Shinigami loved to meddle, and to watch the results of his meddling would be very amusing. This human and his son were different from the rest of the human species, to which only fueled his curiosity of the possible results. That's when an idea struck him. Human, you are defiantly different from those of your species. You believe the world to be as kind as you, but this is not true. You are very naive. Why are you telling me this? Minato questioned. The Shinigami continued as if he were never interrupted. I will give you and your child a gift in 10 years' time. What gift? The gift of a guardian. Minato felt his soul inflamed in hands of the death god. As fast as the pain came, it left. He watched as his body fell from atop Gamabunta's head. Wait, how was he watching himself fall? Before he could say or think anymore, the world went black. Minato snapped his eyes open abruptly, only to see a bright blue sky. Is there a sky in the Shinigami's stomach? He thought before getting to his feet, and taking a look at his surroundings. He was standing in the middle of a bustling street of Konoha. Konoha is inside the Shinigami's stomach. He mentally slapped himself for that outrageous thought, deciding that wherever he was, it was not the Shinigami's stomach. He chose to learn exactly where he was, by asking around. People passed by him without sparing him a glance. He found that odd, but proceeded to look around regardless. That's when he spotted a familiar face watering some plants outside a small shop. Minato knew Inoichi, so he decided that this was indeed Konoha. He advanced towards the man, millions of questions running through his head. Inoichi. The Yondaime called as he approached the blonde. The man continued watering his plants, not acknowledging his presence in the slightest. Inoichi. Minato questioned only a few feet away. Wondering if maybe he couldn't hear him, he reached out a hand to grab his shoulder. However, what happened was not what was expected. His hand slid right through the man's figure. As soon as he saw his hand go through him, he jerked back his hand instantly. What was going on? He couldn't be seen, heard, or felt. Deciding to see if his theory was true, he stood in the middle of the street, and shouted, "Can anyone hear me?" Seeing that not a single person even noticed, he gravely concluded that his observations were indeed true. Hey! What the hell are you yelling for? Minato whirled around quickly to face the figure that had spoken. He was stunned to find a small boy, with spiky blonde hair, blue eyes, and peculiar whisker-marked cheeks. Hello, I asked you a question. Naruto waved a hand in front of the man's impassive face. Minato was frozen as he went into deep thought. Okay, so this kid can hear and see me, that's a start. Should I follow my only lead or continue searching for others? Maybe I should go along with this kid and find out what's going on first. I could probably find other leads while going with him. Kid it is. When Minato came back to his senses, he looked back at the kid, only to find him glaring at him, his eyes narrowed dangerously in irritation. What's wrong? Minato questioned, unknowing the reason the boy was so angry at him. Welcome back, Driftwood. I thought you were brain dead for a second there, or mental. Naruto added. Driftwood. Minato questioned, cocking an eyebrow at the nickname. Well yeah, you got so lost in your own thoughts, that you didn't hear a word I said. I was practically screaming. Naruto whined, flailing his arms to add effect to his speech. Oh, sorry kid. Minato said sheepishly. Naruto looked at the strange man as if expecting him to say something. After waiting for a few more seconds under the uncomfortable silence that had befallen the conversation, Naruto finally asked for the answer he was waiting for. So what? Minato replied, clueless as can be. Sue, why were you yelling like that? Minato began. Hey, there he is. A man called at the end of the street, gesturing with his arm for others to follow him. Minato thanked the interruption by the man. If he hadn't, he would have been forced to give a stupid excuse like his dead student Obito. Naruto's eyes widened exponentially. Gah! How'd they find me so fast? The Yondaime looked at him unbelievingly. I mean, how would someone not find him? The kid was dressed in a bright orange jumpsuit that screamed, I'm right here. Minato noticed that man along with the others were Chunin by the vests they wore. He had no idea why the Chunin were after the boy, but if he helped him, he might answer some of his questions. Hey kid. Yeah, I know a way to lose them. Nani? Naruto asked with genuine curiosity. It was odd for a stranger to help him of all people. No one has ever done that before, so why would someone help him now? He didn't even know the man. If he wasn't careful, he might be stabbed in the back when he wasn't looking. Could he trust a stranger? Naruto watched as the Chunin approached rapidly, pushing and dodging through the busy villagers in the street. Without a moment to spare, the blonde man looked at Naruto expectantly. Well, do you want me to help you or not? Alright, how do we lose them? Naruto hesitantly replied. Follow me. The blonde man said, before dashing off at a light pace. Naruto didn't see it as a light pace however, and had to run as fast as he could to keep up. Naruto followed him as the Chunin began to steadily catch up, before turning a sharp corner into a dank alley. Hurry and open this, Minato said as he pointed to ground. Naruto looked in the direction the man was pointing to and shook his head in disbelief. The sewers, Naruto exclaimed, to which the man answered with a simple nod. Hi. Now hurry if you don't want to get caught. While Naruto began to lift the lid that led to the sewers, Minato extended a hand towards the boy as his back was turned away from him. Just as he had expected, his hand slid through the boy, as if non-existent. Minato sighed and retracted his hand, while Naruto successfully removed the lid and jumped within the hole. Minato followed him, and landed in the murky water. Naruto closed the lid, after Minato had jumped in after him. Just as the lid slid into place, a group of Chunin rounded the corner. They inspected the alley briefly before confusion became etched upon their visage. Where'd he go? Naruto grimaced as he trekked his way through the sewers. The mucky water sloshed at his feet as he trudged through the dirty liquid that ran halfway up his shin. The smell was beyond comprehensible for the young boy, making his nose wrinkle in audible disgust. This place reeks, the boy exclaimed, as he reached a hand to his nose and plugged it. Hi, but there's an exit just a little further ahead that will lead us to the market street. The man explained. Naruto continued trudging through the water, unobservant of the phenomenon that was taking place behind him. The water's path was unaffected by the blonde man. Minato noticed that the water passed right through him, but wasn't all too surprised. He lifted his foot for closer inspection and noticed that he wasn't wet or dirty at all. Of course he could still smell that disgusting fume that filled the air. Minato thanked that the boy wasn't observant. He moved silently through the water, following the said child. As they made their way to the exit, Minato's mind had begun to drift once again. Why do I pass through just about everything? I mean, going through the floor doesn't sound so impossible anymore, maybe I can. Minato's thoughts then centered around making his foot go through the sewer floor. As soon as he did, his foot slid through the water farther than it was previously. Well, that's interesting, he commented. Minato went to continue walking behind the boy when he noticed his right foot was stuck. Crap, it's stuck, Minato cried in thought, as he tried to pry his foot from the water-filled floor. Naruto turned around when he heard a grunt from the man, and watched the spectacle before him. Wait, maybe if I concentrate, Minato's foot cleanly dislodged itself from the floor. Naruto looked at the man oddly. What was that about? Minato began. Time for an Obito excuse. I was grabbed by some weird fish thing. Gah, there's no way he'll fall for that. What was I thinking? Minato thought worriedly. To Minato's luck, Naruto's eyes widened with evident fear. You mean there might be monsters in here? Minato was having trouble holding back his laughter, his lips pursed in effort of holding it in. The kid was truly gullible, that was for sure. It kind of reminded Minato of his younger self. Hi, it's possible, the man mused, failing to hide the smile that spread across his face. Of course Naruto was too dense to notice such a thing. Naruto dashed to the exit up ahead, climbing the ladder hastily, and exiting the dirty sewers. Minato burst into laughter, unable to hold it in any longer, and followed after the kid. His mind still plagued by thoughts. I can pass through a lot of things, including floors, and probably even walls. No one can see, hear, or even feel me except this kid so far. It's almost like I'm some kind of ghost. Minato exited the sewer and stood by the exasperated child. You were kidding, weren't you? I could hear you laugh down there. It echoed enough for me to hear you know. The child huffed angrily. The man shrugged. Maybe, maybe not. Naruto glared at him before looking in the opposite direction in frustration. Minato could have sworn he heard the kid murmur something, but it was too quiet for him to hear. What was that? Minato questioned. Naruto visibly huffed once more, still facing the opposite way. I said thanks for helping me escape those Chunin. Minato looked at him curiously. Why were they after you anyway? Naruto looked at him with surprise. You don't know? The man nodded, which Naruto only gave two How could you not notice? I mean, it's so easy to see. Minato looked at him in further confusion. What's easy to see? Just look at the Hokage monument. Minato turned to look at the stone faces, gaping as he did so. The faces were covered in graffiti. Different paint colors sprawled across the faces of the village's previous leaders, including himself. His face had red swirls on his cheeks, and were those eyelashes. He turned to face the young prankster, his eyes narrowed in an intense glare. Naruto visibly shrunk under the glare, shivering as he did so. The blond man then smiled, his smile then turning into a large grin, and then finally into laughter. Naruto cocked an eyebrow at the unusual behavior. After a short while Naruto asked him the obvious question. What's so funny? The man's laughter died down, until he was able to speak. I just find it funny that no one could catch you while you committed such an act. I mean, come on, this prank is top-notch, but I have to ask, what made you do it? Naruto's eyes changed so fast that it stunned Minato. His cerulean eyes brimmed with undeterred confidence and determination as he looked at the monument. My dream is to become Hokage, surpassing all those before me. Naruto proclaimed, in a voice that didn't seem as childish as before, but strong. I don't doubt that. The man began, making Naruto turn to him quickly in surprise. I believe that you will accomplish that dream. Naruto's eyes began to glisten with unshed tears. Minato looked at the kid in shock. What's the matter, kid? Naruto looked away when felt his tears threatened to fall. No one's ever said that to me, not ever. They call me a fool, a dreamer, a loser, and dead last, but I'll show them all. I'll show them that I can be strong. Usually when I state my dream, I'm laughed at, or given silence. You, a stranger, had helped me escape, and had even been the first to believe in me. It's not something that happens to me too often, Naruto said solemnly, before turning back to face the blond man. Why do I feel different around this guy? I don't understand, Naruto thought. I will become Hokage Datbayo. Also, for helping me earlier, is there anything I could do to help you? Naruto asks. Minato brought a hand to rub the back of his head sheepishly. Well, I kind of need a place to stay for the night, if it's okay with your parents, that is. Naruto grinned. You can stay at my apartment, and I don't have parents, so that isn't a problem. I should have figured, Minato thought. Thanks, I really appreciate this. The man said, as Naruto started heading in the direction of his apartment. Minato followed the boy, until he remembered one of the questions he wanted to ask. Hey kid. Yeah. How long has it been since the Kyubi attacked? Naruto looked at him with obvious confusion, wondering how the man did not know such a thing. Exactly 10 years from today. Why? Minato froze in his tracks. 10 years. What about my wife and S? Minato looked at the kid that he was with him, blonde hair, blue eyes. Kid, what's your name? The man asked in what seemed to be distress. He had to make sure what he believed was true. Naruto looked at him curiously. I'll tell you mine as soon as you tell me yours. Namikaze Minato, the man said hastily. Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto said, as he gazed at the man whose eyes widened even more. This kid is my son. Ghost Guardian. Explanations. The Shinigami chuckled nervously as he backed away slowly. Let's not get so mad now. The figure to which the death god was backing away from was a woman who appeared to be in her 20s. She was dressed in white, with black decorative designs that ran across the exterior of the silk kimono. Her body was slender and sleek, and her face too fair to be human. Golden locks fell a little above her waist. The woman was an icon of female beauty, but as of now her features signified the anger that could burn hell 1,000 times over. You did it again, didn't you? She sneered, an unimaginable amount of killing intent directed at the death god before her. Ha. The woman glared at the being. Why to change my plans this time? The Shinigami looked at her, his impassive countenance back in place. Entertainment, why else? The woman sighed and rubbed her temples in frustration. You always meddle with my designs for the future. Hi, but I haven't changed any of your designs since the Uchiha massacre. I'm bored, what can I say? The woman looked at him. I have to say the Uchiha massacre was defiantly a good tragedy, as long as you don't do anything like that to the Hyuga clan, maybe. Why are you so fond of the Hyuga clan? The Shinigami questioned. Fate smiled. Most of them worship me. Shinigami rolled his eyes. I wouldn't call it worshipping. Fate glared at the death god, but relaxed in seconds, regaining her calm composure once more. So can my change stay? The Shinigami questioned. Hi, as long as you don't meddle any more than you have. The woman warned. Alright, but no spoilers this time. I know your fate and all, but I want the fate of at least those two to be surprised, the rest I don't care for. Fate sighed, no spoilers at all. That will be difficult when you start asking me, what happens next? You're the reason I tell you everyone's destiny after all. Shinigami ignored her and opened a small wormhole to watch from. This kid was his son. Minato was shocked. The kid he was helping was actually his son. His 10-year-old son. How did this happen? How did he end up walking Konoha's streets as a ghost, and meeting his son? That's when he remembered. Flashback. I will give you and your child a gift in 10 years' time. The Shinigami stated impassively. What gift? Minato questioned. The gift of a guardian. End flashback. He wondered what the Shinigami meant by guardian, but he said in 10 years' time, so obviously it was the Shinigami's doing. Minato couldn't help but wonder, why would he help someone like me? If only he knew it was simply because the Shinigami was bored. No matter the reason, the Yondaime was glad. Glad he could spend time with his son, Naruto. Naruto watched as the guy, who is now named Minato, went into a state of shock when he heard his name. Why does everyone do that when I tell them my name? It's always the same. First comes shock, then comes fear, and then finally hate. Along with that comes the names of demon, killer, and worst of all, monster. Naruto thought sadly, watching as the man looked at him in shock. But that same shock surprisingly turned into something Naruto could not define. It wasn't anger, hate, or fear, was it affection? Care? Happiness? No. There is no way a stranger could care for him, but why did he look the way he did, Naruto wondered. Hey, are you alright? The Naruto asked curiously. Minato jumped in surprise, seemingly cut from his thoughts. I think so. Minato responded, smiling at the boy. Why is he looking at me like that? Naruto wondered, before spinning on his heel and walking quickly in the direction they were heading to previously. Before Minato could question him, he spoke. I want to get to my apartment soon, it's getting late. Minato cocked an eyebrow and looked at the position of the sun. It only looks like it's only 6 p.m., why the rush? Naruto continued walking quickly as he spoke. Minato walked not too much farther behind him with ease. I'll explain what I can when we get to my apartment, okay Driftwood. Minato's eyes narrowed. Driftwood. Why do you keep calling me that? He whined. Naruto grinned, cause your mind wanders too often. When it does, trying to get your attention is like trying to get a rock to speak. Minato sighed, hoping that nickname wouldn't stick. He dreamed of the day that he would be called dad or father, by Naruto. That thought brought many other thoughts along with it. How would he break the news to Naruto? It's not like he would say, hi. I'm a ghost who happens to be the Yondaime that sealed a demon in you. And oh, I also happen to be your father. Does he even know of the Kyubi? What about his wife Kushina? Naruto said he has no parents, so what had happened to Kushina? He must also have a guardian with him if he living alone as well, otherwise he would still be in the orphanage. So many questions, but so few answers. Maybe he should wait a little while before he says anything. Although he would probably have to tell Naruto soon that he's a ghost. It shouldn't take him much longer to figure it out, even as dense and unobservant as he is. Minato followed Naruto to his apartment, soon realizing that he was walking to the bad side of Konoha. There was no way his son lived here, right? Are we near your apartment? Minato asked the child. Yeah, it's not too much farther. Naruto replied, still walking quickly to his destination. Naruto began wondering if he was making the right decision. I mean, he was inviting a stranger to his apartment, and on this particular day of the year. He couldn't trust people easily. Many of which he trusted had betrayed him, so why was he giving this guy a chance? Minato seemed different from the others though, he didn't know why. It just made him feel at ease when he was around him, almost safe. He didn't know how to explain it, he just felt it. He would give Minato the benefit of the doubt. He just hoped his mind was wrong, and his heart right. Here we are, Naruto said as he entered the complex. Minato wondered why Naruto was living in such a rundown place. He observed the cracks in the walls, the bad paint job, the dust, the bugs, the list never seemed to end. Minato looked at Naruto who was grinning, as he seemed to do most of the time. Minato looked at him in concern, something is off about that grin. Hey Izumi-san, I have the rent for my apartment, he said to an old woman behind a desk. The old woman had gray hair, pulled up in a ponytail. She wore a simple civilian-like kimono wear, that showed that she had a thing for modesty. Slapping a bunch of Ryo on the wooden desk for pay. Well, it's about time, demon. Next time you better pay on time, otherwise you'll be on the streets. The old woman snarled. Naruto looked at her in surprise. She never had acted like that when he had company. Minato looked at the woman with anger. Pure rage coursing through his veins, while he shook with controlled fury. How dare she say that to his son? Even it wasn't his son, what she said should never be said to a child. He also saw the unbelievable amount Naruto had handed her for rent. The money he had handed to her was enough for a nice 2-bedroom apartment. Minato knew by the way the complex looked this was probably not the case, and she was probably ripping him off. Then there was the word the woman had called Naruto. Demon. Was Naruto not being treated like the hero he had thought he would? Was his last wish not fulfilled? Minato ran a hand through his hair as a massive headache seemed to surface. He really hated having so many questions, with so few answers. The questions seemed to keep increasing too, but his answers were so limited it was driving him nuts. He learned as Hokage that patience was the best way sometimes, and it seemed like this was one of those times. Naruto wondered why Izumi acted that way with someone else's presence. He however shrugged it off and walked to the stairs that led to his room. Minato followed him in a trance-like state, seemingly caught in his own thoughts. Naruto walked to his door, and pulled out a set of keys from his pocket. He fiddled with his keys for a moment until the right key was found and then pressed into the door. A click sounded before the door was swung open, revealing a small living space. The kitchen living room was nothing short of small. A ragged couch was placed against the wall with a small fridge near its left side. A round table was positioned across from the couch with 2 wooden chairs on each side. There was a petite counter on the fridge's left side, nothing special. The walls were painted white poorly, and there seemed to be cracks in the walls. He looked around by the doorway while Naruto made his way to the window and snapped it shut. Naruto then turned to Minato, you can come in you know. Naruto turned to his bedroom, after he had spoken and began picking up his clothing that had lazily been tossed to the floor. His bedroom was also small. A bed sat on the right side of the room. The bed's spring mattress was old and beat, seeing that the springs were sticking out of it, making it uncomfortable for anyone that slept in it. A small wooden side desk was placed beside the bed, where his alarm clock was set. A closet was across from the bed on the left side of the room. A few precious hangers were hung inside the closet, where Naruto had begun hanging his clothes from. Meanwhile Minato stepped in and went to shut the door. However he found that he could not grasp the handle. He desperately tried grabbing the doorknob, but his hand continuously slid right through it. He sighed heavily, knowing that he would have to explain his condition to Naruto. He wondered how Naruto would take to the fact that he was spending the day with a ghost of all things. If he was anything like himself, he would be safe. If he was anything like his wife, well, he wouldn't try to even think about that. Naruto walked back to the living room, only to find the door still left wide open. Hey, shut the door will you? I can't. Minato said sheepishly, shrugging his shoulders in the process. What do you mean you can't? Naruto asked confusingly. Well I mean that, just watch. Minato said as he reached for the door, only for his hand to turn ethereal before sliding right through the door handle. Naruto watched the man's demonstration with widening eyes. Whoa. How'd you do that? Naruto cried out, incredulously pointing a finger at the bizarre phenomenon. What this? Minato grinned, as he brought his arm up towards the door, and stuck his arm through. His hand appeared on the other side, to which Naruto seemed at a loss of words too. His son's reaction made Minato grin. He was defiantly like himself, and thankfully not like his wife. His wife was more violent, and usually jumped to very irrational conclusions. Naruto seemed to be more like himself, where he would be astonished before asking a bunch of questions to no end. Although he wondered what it is going to be like to be on the other end of the multitude of questions. Whoa, that is so cool. Naruto shouted with glee, as Minato withdrew his hand back from the door. How'd you do that? Was it some type of jutsu? Is this some kind of magic trick? Are you a ninja? Can you do that with other parts of your body or other objects? Can you do that all the time? Minato's eye twitched. Am I really that annoying when I do that? No wonder Jiraiya always hit me over the head when I started asking questions. My god, just make it stop already. Minato cried in thought, as Naruto continued on with his barrage of questions. Minato was about to slap a hand over his son's mouth to silence the onslaught of words, but he remembered how he would just pass right through him, and that might make Naruto question him even more. Naruto. Could you help me with pranks? Is that a kek? Naruto. Kei Genkai. Can I learn how to? Naruto. Quote. Thank you. Now I can already assure you this isn't a jutsu, or kekai genkai. Or even a prank or magic trick for that matter. Minato explained. Then what is it? Naruto interrupted with a questioning glance. Not what is it, but what am I, is the real question here. Okay, then what are you? Naruto questioned. Minato grinned, a ghost. Naruto looked at him in complete shock. He was standing and talking with a freaking ghost. Okay, then how come I can see you? Naruto questioned, after recomposing himself. Not only see me, but hear me also. That I am not quite sure yet, but I do have a theory. You'd have to listen to a long story though to understand. Minato explained. I don't mind. Naruto said as he sat on his couch. Minato however continued to stand, wondering how Naruto would take this. I mean, he was about to flip Naruto's world upside down. He guessed by the end of the story, that Naruto would be angry at him. Okay, where to begin? Naruto interrupted his thoughts. Hey, before you start I have one more question. Minato looked at him, as he was snapped abruptly out of his thoughts. Go ahead. Can anyone else, but me, see or hear you? Naruto questioned. Not that I know of. Minato answered. Okay, I guess to begin the story is to first know who I am. Huh? Naruto looked at him in confusion, question marks appearing over his head. What do you mean by that? I know your name already. Yes, but Konoha knows me by another name. Minato elaborated, raising a finger. I still don't get it, Naruto replied. Take a look out your window. Minato said, pointing a finger to the window Naruto had previously shut. Naruto looked at him oddly, before standing up and walking over to his apartment window. He slid it open with ease and looked outside. So what am I looking for exactly? Minato walked up next to him as he spoke. On the mountainside there are faces. One of which is mine. Naruto looked at the stone faces carved in the mountain. The faces were of the village's Hokages. Leaders of the Leaf. There were 4 stone faces currently. The third was the old man who now held office. The Sandaime was very kind to Naruto, and was the only one who seemed to care about him. So you're saying you're a Hokage? Naruto said in awe as he looked at the man. Minato nodded and smirked. Hi. Now tell me which one. Minato was proud of his rank as a ninja. He worked hard during the time he was living, to become a Hokage, which everyone respected. Okay. Naruto gazed the faces, the Shodaime was on the left side so he started there. Okay. He looks nothing like the Shodaime, because Minato has spiky hair. He doesn't look like the Nadaime either. The Sandaime is the Ojisan, so can't be him. That only leaves the Yondaime. Yondaime, Naruto breathed, turning to look at the man before him in a new light. The one and only. The Yondaime grinned, before walking back to the room. He couldn't hide the grin that had spread across his face as he watched Naruto's dumbfounded expression. Alright, now that you know who I am, let's continue. Naruto nodded dumbly, as he shut the window and sat on his couch. Naruto couldn't believe that a ghost of the Yondaime was standing in front of him of all people. He was even talking to him, and it wasn't in disgust. If this was a dream, he hoped he wouldn't wake up. Now came the part the Yondaime feared. A serious expression quickly replaced his grinning one. Okay, my story takes place 10 years ago, on October 10th when the Kyubi attacked. You see, I was warned about the Kyubi no Kitsune a day prior to the attack. I immediately began working on a seal that would save us all. A seal. Let me finish, the Yondaime said. As I was saying, I began working on a seal to stop the Kyubi from destroying the village. However, after extensive research and studying, I found one cannot kill a biju. The only way to kill a biju was to seal it, using a self-sacrificing jutsu. Naruto looked down, remembering the fact that the Yondaime did indeed die when he defeated the Kyubi. As the Yondaime's words replayed through his mind, he wondered what the Yondaime meant by sealing Kyubi and not killing it. Does that mean the Kyubi was still alive? Naruto waited patiently for his answers. The Yondaime continued, the worst part was that the Kyubi could only be sealed within a newborn child. This is due to the fact that a newborn's chakra coil system can adapt to a new presence more easily than in adults. For you see, if it were sealed in anything other than a newborn, the Kyubi's chakra would be rejected and thus kill the host and freeing the Kyubi once more. So I had to seal it in a newborn, one that saved the village from certain destruction, and became a hero to the people of Konoha. That newborn was you, Naruto. Naruto looked down as he spoke in a voice somewhat akin to sadness, so you're saying that, I'm the Kyubi. Naruto remembered how he was treated by the villagers, the glares, the anger, the hate, all of it was always directed at him. And now he knew why. The Yondaime's look was calm as he spoke, Naruto, I can already tell you I don't like what I've seen so far of Konoha. Naruto looked up abruptly, wondering what the Yondaime was getting at. I've seen a taste of how the village treats you, and to say the least, I'm disappointed. Not by you Naruto, but by this village. The Yondaime's faraway look then turned to one that was firm and strong. As he looked upon Naruto, Naruto remembered this. You are not the Kyubi, but its jailer, while it is your prisoner. You and Kyubi are two separate entities, locked in one body. You are the vessel of Kyubi, not the beast itself. The village is unable to see this, and even if they did, when they see you, they see a scapegoat of their pain. You are an icon of their pain, but you aren't the pain itself. My final wish was for you to be seen as the village's hero, but I see that this was not fulfilled, as I believed it would. They see you simply as the beast itself, but you are not. Understand. The Yondaime was angry with the villagers for what they had put his son through. He didn't know exactly what they did, but seeing where he was living, and how the woman at the desk had treated Naruto, he could only guess what they had put Naruto through. Naruto nodded, before looking at the Yondaime, so you're saying the reason they hate me is because you sealed a demon in me. The Yondaime's eyes filled with sadness knowing what was coming next. Hi. His muscles tensed knowing Naruto would surely explode in full-blown anger towards him. His anger was not without reason, knowing that he was responsible for ruining his son's life. Naruto's face was hidden by his blonde hair, unreadable to Minato. When he lifted his head up, it revealed a smile. Minato was shocked to say the least, but he became even more shocked when Naruto started laughing. Laughing. Naruto laughed loudly, as tears streaked down his whisker-marked cheeks, in what appeared to be happiness. As Naruto's laughing began to die down, Minato asked the question he had wanted to ask. Why were you laughing? Naruto smiled as his laughs died down completely. Because I just found out that the reason everybody hates me is due to something I had no control of. They don't hate me. Just the stupid furball in my stomach. Naruto exclaimed as his tears of joy began to dry up. I thought it was something I did. To find out the reason everyone hates me, takes a huge weight off my shoulders. Although I have to ask why you put it in someone like me, instead of someone with parents who could watch over them. The Yondaime knew the answer, but he would only give half of the answer for now. Do you know anyone else born on October 10th? No. Well then, there you go. Naruto sighed and sunk deep into his couch. Wow, what a weird day. You and me both. Minato commented. Oh yeah, you never told me your theory as to why you're a ghost and why only I can only see or hear you. Minato looked at him in confusion, before it clicked. Oh right. I guess I got sidetracked during the story huh? Let's see, when I used the jutsu to perform the sealing I summoned the Shinigami, but you see something happened. What? Naruto questioned curiously. The Shinigami spoke to me, and told me that in 10 years, he would give me and you a gift, the Yondaime explained, his eyes peering at the floor below him in deep thought. A gift of a guardian, is what he called it, but I don't know exactly what he meant by that. After that I woke up here, and met you. Naruto nodded, with his arms crossed in front of his chest and his eyes closed. This day just keeps getting weirder huh? Minato nodded in agreement, his arms also crossed and eyes closed. Most defiantly. They sat in silence digesting all that happened until Minato spoke. So do you have a guardian to look after you? Naruto shook his head sorrowfully. No, I lived alone since I was 6. The Sandaime used to check up on me every so often, until about a year ago. I guess things started getting busier. He still visits me, just not so often. He visits at least once every month or so. He visited me yesterday to make sure I was prepared. The Yondaime looked at him in confusion. What do you mean by prepared? Sadness filled Naruto's features. Prepared for my birthday.
Thanks guys for watching. This is the end of this part. Remember to subscribe, like, comment and turn on that bell notification. This is Milton_fanfiction and I'll see you guys on the next video.